They said he was too small, too weak, too quiet to lead, not built for this league, not built for this empire. They were wrong. Steph Curry didn't just survive the NBA, he rewrote its code. He took the league's weakest weapon and turned it into a revolution. On the court, he made giants fall from 30 feet away. Off the court, he turned a struggling shoe company into a billion-dollar brand. Nike had the blueprint. Curry hijacked it and rewrote the ending. This isn't just a sports story. It's the tale of a silent assassin who changed how basketball is played, and then built an empire while the world watched in awe. This is how Steph Curry broke the NBA and got rich doing it. But here's the twist. The very company that rejected him is now offering $1 billion just to bring him back. Chapter 1. The Underdog. Nobody believed in. The gym was nearly empty. No scouts, no cameras, just a skinny 17-year-old kid, Wardell Stephen Curry II, walking into his father's alma mater with nothing but a hope and a jump shot. Virginia Tech didn't even bother to watch him. His own bloodline wasn't enough. Del Curry, a 16-year NBA veteran, had lit up scoreboards there. Surely his son would get a shot. He didn't. Steph was too skinny, too quiet, too forgettable. Duke, UNC, Wake Forest, every powerhouse in his home state passed on him. Not one scholarship offer from a top-tier program. He ended up at Davidson College, 1,700 students, one tournament win in 40 years. It was basketball exile, and yet he stayed. He put in the hours. He rewired his shot to get it off faster. He added muscle. And in March 2008, the silence broke. Davidson exploded into the national spotlight as Curry dropped 40, 30, 33, and 25 points in 4 tournament games, dragging a mid-major to the Elite Eight like a man possessed. Overnight, he went from too small to unstoppable. But even then, they still doubted him. 2009 NBA draft. 6 teams passed. The Warriors picked him 7th and immediately tried to trade him. Then came the injuries, chronic ankle problems, multiple surgeries. At one point, the Warriors were this close to cutting ties. They signed him to a 4-year, $44 million deal. Cheap, safe, forgettable. One exec later admitted, "We almost gave up on him. We thought he'd never hold up." The league had counted him out. The Warriors barely believed in him. And Steph, he was sitting in a hospital bed, wondering if his career was already over. But in that moment, when the world stopped watching, he was rebuilding, sharpening, waiting. And when he returned, he didn't just silence the doubters. He made the league eat its own rule book, because what came next wasn't just a comeback. It was a war on everything basketball believed in. And the first battle would be fought in the most sacred arena in basketball, where legends are made and myths are born. Chapter 2, The 3-Point Revolution. February 27th, 2013. Madison Square Garden, the mecca of basketball. The Warriors were on the road. No one expected history. And then Steph Curry walked in like a ghost with a flamethrower. 54 points, 11 three-pointers. He was gliding past defenders, pulling up from 30 feet like it was a layup, off the dribble, in transition, hands in his face. It didn't matter. This wasn't basketball. It was alchemy. Coaches across the league watched in disbelief. Everything they had taught, shot selection, footwork, mid-range fundamentals, Steph erased it in one night. Warriors coach Steve Kerr later said, "That was the night the revolution started." But here's the thing. Steph didn't just take shots no one dared to take. He hit them with a calm that mocked the old gods of the game. Before Steph, the three-pointer was a side dish. After Steph, it became the main course. Watch any NBA game today. Teams launch 50-plus three-pointers a night. In 2009, that number was 18. The math is simple. Steph Curry didn't just change basketball, he rewrote its DNA. The post-up, gone. The mid-range, ghosted. And the shift wasn't subtle, it was seismic. Youth leagues transformed overnight. A generation stopped dreaming of dunks and started practicing 35-footers. One coach called it the Curry effect, because this wasn't just dominance, it was doctrine, and it rewrote how talent was evaluated, how offenses were built, how legacies would be made. LeBron had to adapt. Teams like the Spurs and Rockets reprogrammed their entire offenses. Curry wasn't just winning, he was expanding the very dimensions of the game. Analytics departments worshipped him. Defenders chased shadows. The league bent to his geometry. But while the world obsessed over his range, Steph was focused on reach. Because while everyone else was counting threes, he was planning something bigger. A power move so quiet, it would blindside the very company that built the basketball empire. Nike had the Jordan blueprint, and they were about to fumble it right into Steph Curry's hands. Chapter 3, the Under Armour deal that changed everything. By 2013, Steph Curry wasn't just a shooter anymore. He was a phenomenon. Kids wanted his jersey, adults wanted his range. He was changing basketball, but Nike didn't see it. They had him under contract, and still, they treated him like a role player. When it came time to re-sign, they blew it. The pitch meeting? A joke. A Nike executive mispronounced his name. Stefan, not Stephen. They used a recycled PowerPoint from Kevin Durant's meeting. They didn't even remove KD's name from the slides. The disrespect was palpable, said one person who was in the room. Nike, the empire Jordan built, looked at Steph and saw nothing worth investing in. For Steph, sitting in that conference room, it wasn't just about money. It was about respect, about proving that the kid they'd overlooked could build something they'd never imagined. The same fire that drove him through those ankle surgeries was now burning for something bigger than basketball. That was their mistake. Because across the table sat a much smaller player with a much bigger vision, Under Armour. They didn't offer the biggest contract, just $4 million a year. But they offered Steph something Nike never did. Equity, control, a seat at the table. Nike wanted another name on a spreadsheet. Under Armour wanted a partner. And Steph? He saw something more powerful than money. He saw a chance to build something of his own. Just like Jordan had saved Nike, Curry would now save Under Armour on his terms. By the way, if you love power moves like this, check out our video on how Michael Jordan hijacked Nike and created the most successful brand in sports history. Jordan wrote the playbook. Steph ran it better. If that's your kind of story, subscribe. We're the Max Deal, and we tell the power plays behind the box scores. When the Curry one launched in 2015, right as he won MVP and brought the Warriors their first title in 40 years, the shoes sold out instantly. Under Armour's basketball revenue exploded by 754% that quarter. Their stock price doubled. Steph's equity was now worth far more than any endorsement check. And just like that, the baby-faced assassin didn't just own the game. He owned part of the company profiting from it. Nike had every chance to keep him. They had the history, they had the infrastructure, they had the Jordan blueprint, and they still blew it. They handed the future of basketball to the guy they couldn't even pronounce correctly. But Steph wasn't done. He didn't just want a signature shoe, he wanted his own kingdom. And while Nike clung to the past, Steph was already building the next empire, one that could outlive them all. Chapter 4, Curry Brand, Building the Empire. By 2020, Steph Curry had changed the NBA, but while the league was still trying to copy his jump shot, he was already building something that couldn't be copied. On December 1st, in the middle of a global pandemic, Under Armour announced the launch of Curry Brand, a standalone division dedicated to footwear, apparel, and gear across multiple sports, not just basketball, everything. And unlike most athlete lines, Curry Brand wasn't just using his name. He had real creative control, equity, long-term vision. It was bold. It was surgical. It was the Jordan playbook, modernized. This isn't just about putting my name on shoes, Curry said. This is about building something that outlasts my playing career. And it was only the beginning. Because while other athletes were chasing endorsement deals, Steph was building infrastructure. In 2018, he launched Unanimous Media, not a vanity project, a real player in Hollywood. First look deals with Sony and NBC Universal, documentaries, animated shows, and hit series like Holy Moly on ABC, even a film deal with Netflix. Unanimous wasn't just about basketball stories. It was about storytelling with purpose, faith, family, overcoming the odds. Curry wasn't chasing fame, he was curating legacy. Then came the investments, early stakes in Pinterest, Tonal, and Aura Ring, a venture firm focused on founders of color. Strategic deals that aligned with his brand, not just his bank account. Even his philanthropy was surgical. The Eat, Learn, Play Foundation, co-founded with his wife Aisha, tackled child hunger and literacy in Oakland while extending the Curry name into civic leadership. He wasn't just cashing checks, he was building an ecosystem. One professor put it like this: Jordan built a brand, LeBron built a media empire. Curry, he's building a movement. But while Curry's empire was rising, quietly, methodically, the numbers were adding up. Equity stakes, media deals, signature lines across sports. And suddenly, a new question emerged. Was Steph Curry on track to become the NBA's next billionaire? And if so, how did he do it without shouting, flexing, or chasing headlines? Before we dive into the next part, here's something that could seriously level up the way you invest. If you're looking for professional grade insight, not social media hype, you need to check out Seeking Alpha. Their Alpha Pick service gives you 2 hand-picked stocks every month with a proven history of strongly outperforming the market. These aren't random tips, they're backed by data-driven analysis and real performance. Want proof? Click the link in the description to see the track record for yourself. While you're there, you can also unlock a free trial and special discount on Seeking Alpha Premium, giving you full access to expert articles, quant ratings, and serious investor tools. Both offers are exclusive to this channel and available for a limited time. Click the link now to get started, and let's get back to the story. Chapter 5: The $1 Billion Blueprint. By 2024, Forbes estimated Steph Curry's net worth at over $500 million. Not bad for someone once told he was too small to play Division I ball. But this isn't just a story about wealth. It's about how he got there. Because while LeBron made his moves through the spotlight, and Jordan carved his path through global icon status, Steph Curry moved differently. Quiet, precise, deliberate. He didn't chase headlines, he built equity. Curry's lifetime deal with Under Armour could be worth over $1 billion. Not endorsement money, ownership money. His media company, Unanimous, now has partnerships across film, TV, and streaming. Not because of his name, but because of his consistency. His tech investments have multiplied in value. He's a boardroom regular in Silicon Valley. And through SC30 Inc, Curry is managing all of it. Brand, business, and philanthropy from under one roof. Even the Warriors themselves, the franchise he lifted, have skyrocketed in value from $450 million when he was drafted to over $7 billion today. One sports economist put it simply: Steph Curry has created more shareholder value than almost any athlete in history. And the most surprising part? He did it without the things we usually associate with NBA icons. No trash talk, no major market advantage, no brute force athleticism. Just a jump shot, a vision, and the patience to build something that outlasts the court. Curry's model is the most accessible of them all, said one agent. You don't need fame, you need focus. While the world was chasing clout, Curry was building capital. He didn't yell, he didn't dunk, he didn't demand, he shot. And with every shot, he built something silent, surgical, and unstoppable. 20 years ago, he was too small for Virginia Tech. Today, he's too big for Nike to ignore. The kid they said wasn't built for this league, he didn't just survive it, he rebuilt it in his image. I'm John, and this is The Max Deal, where we uncover the biggest money and power moves in the NBA. If you got value from this story, please do me a favor. Subscribe and turn on notifications. We're a new channel, and every like, sub, and share helps us keep telling stories the mainstream won't. And up next, we're diving into the most underrated sneaker deal in NBA history. Allen Iverson burned through $200 million. Divorce, lawsuits, rock bottom. But hidden in his Reebok deal, a $32 million safety net. And it might be the smartest sneaker clause ever written. Watch. Allen Iverson lost it all until Reebok saved him. Coming soon to the Max deal.